Okay, so we are back, and today we are talking all things Austin, Texas. Shannon, thank you so much for being here today. We're going to dive right in. So, first off, tell everybody where you are.
So I work the greater Austin area. I work as a real estate team with my husband, Tyler, and we live probably about 35 minutes west of downtown Austin. So closer to Lakeway Bee Cave area is where we're at.
Awesome. And how long have you been in real estate? You and your hubby?
So I started 2017 was my first year full time, and then Tyler joined me right at the beginning of 2020. And I've lived in Austin about 10 years. I'm originally from San Antonio, so born and raised in Texas. And then Tyler is originally from San Diego and has moved all over the country, but has been in Austin since 2008.
Awesome. My last interview, they were from San Diego. That's amazing. So how is it living in Austin, first of all, compared to San Antonio?
I love it. I love both cities. I still like this weekend I was back in San Antonio. So it's only about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get from Austin to San Antonio. It's just a little bit further south, completely different vibes and different styles. So San Antonio is a much older, I mean, you've got like the Alamo and the old Riverwalk and more like Spanish missions, very like different style architecture and stuff. Whereas Austin it feels more modern, high tech. You've got completely different skylines with big, huge towers going up in downtown Austin. It's a much smaller, condensed city, whereas San Antonio is huge and spread out. But I love them both for different reasons. But they're both beautiful. I would rank them as like my two top favorite places to live in Texas.
Oh, that's amazing. And I have not been to Austin. I've been to a lot of places in Texas, and I keep hoping that one of our conferences or something will bring me to Austin because it's one of the cities that I actually really want to visit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as people relocating there, so I am from California. We all know that a lot of Californians are moving to Texas and Austin more specifically. So are you still seeing that I guess we're now in 2023, but are you still seeing that happen?
Absolutely. I mean, we get a huge amount of Californians moving here. Austin is kind of referred to as like the California of Texas. Some people will also call it Austin, California. It's a little more liberal, just different. It's just different style than some of the other cities. But the main draw in the last few years has been our tech industry. So a lot of the big name companies from the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, are now moving out to Austin, and we are now nicknamed the Silicon Hills. So Tesla, of course, is like probably the most famous, and they're building and just expanding all out that direction on the east side. Up north is kind of our tech corridor. So, you know, Apple has a $2 billion campus that they are still developing and growing out there. Amazon, Facebook, Meta, Google, just name a tech company, and they are located somewhere in Austin, and just bringing more and more jobs out this direction.
That's great. And is that, I would assume, I know the answer to this, but is that changing the canvas of cost of living there? Are you seeing the home prices still go up in general cost of living?
Yeah, so much like the rest of the U.S., I mean, our prices went crazy, like mid 2020 on through 2021, but we went up about 35% in our home values in 1 year in 2021, which is completely insane. Like normal appreciation historically in Austin is about 5%. And to go up like 7 years in 1 year is crazy. This year we did probably similar to your market. We went up like another 20%. And then in May just kind of came right back down because of interest rates. So this year we kind of broke even. But still, if you look at like in 2020, I actually ran numbers of it. Beginning of 2020, the average or median price was like $351. And right now it's like $530. So even after the prices coming back down, we still went up, you know, a huge amount of money just in those short 3 years. And we are definitely the most expensive city in Texas. So by contrast, like right now, San Antonio is probably still close to that upper twos, 300 mark, and we're still like in the fives. So we're definitely more expensive than San Antonio, and even Dallas and Houston, we're going to be pricier. just because we've got the job growth. And like I said, it's a smaller, tighter city. So we don't have the flat land as much to keep building and sprawling outward as the other places do.
And how big is Austin exactly?
It's hard to say because everything is like the incorporated area. So I'm going to say around 1 million. But then if you start doing like Round Rock, Pflugerville, Cedar Park, most people that say they live in Austin live in one of the little towns around Austin. So if you did the whole greater area, you're probably closer to 2 million or so. But it's definitely small compared to the other cities in Texas.
Okay, but still, I mean, that's a sizable area.
Yeah. And I think
And
people are also shocked how like spread out we are. Cause like our MLS, like the areas that I have access to as a realtor, they call it more central Texas. So it's not just Austin, but like, 45 minutes west of it, 45 minutes east. So like from one end of our MLS to the other is almost a 2-hour drive if you go like the diameter across it. But that's going way out to like Horseshoe Bay, Marble Falls, and all the way out to like Bastrop or something on the other side. But we encompass a big area. And so, yeah, you have to be like mindful when you think of Austin. It's like, it may not be Austin, but it's going to be probably somewhere around it.
And for those that work in tech, where are they typically moving? What cities within or in that Austin area? I know I have a lot of people that have moved out there, and now I'm blanking on the name of the city, but I'm sure you'll mention it here.
Yeah, so definitely the north side of town is where we call it our tech corridor. It's along 183 and Palmer Lane. And so the suburb areas would be like Round Rock, Leander, the Austin Round Rock metro area. The north side of town is like I said, that's where most job opportunities are, especially in the tech field. There's some downtown in different places, but most people are always looking to be a little bit up north. Prices are definitely a little bit more affordable there. So I told you median price is like I'm going to say like around 550, just as a ballpark. It could be 525, whatever, but you can get a cute house in the north side of town for that. If you go up to 600, you can get something bigger, nicer. I mean, there's homes up into the millions, but you definitely don't need to spend that kind of money. But you have a lot of selection out that way. There's still a lot of new construction and growth happening that direction. If you go a little further north into Georgetown, Leander, Liberty Hill, all of those places are booming and just sprawling. But it's mostly for people looking for, homes close enough to the tech centers. And then we also have, if you haven't been, so I have to explain it as if you've never been, we have a huge shopping.
Well, and a lot of the viewers probably won't be very familiar with it either.
There's a shopping center called the Domain that's at kind of like Mopac, which is one of our freeways, and Palmer, and it's kind of like right up north of downtown, and it's called our second downtown. It's an outdoor mall, but they've got restaurants. They've got a lot of the famous bars and restaurants that are downtown have built a second location there. There's condos, high-rise condos, a lot of like office spaces. So the idea is you can like work and live and play all in that one area. So it's kind of known as like the second downtown. So if you live somewhere like Liberty Hill, Georgetown, or whatever, it might seem like, oh, that's far to get downtown, but you're like close to the Domain and some of those other places. So you can still have entertainment, nightlife, and some fun things, up on the north side.
Oh, that's amazing. And it sounds like it's still developing. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still
we have so much land surrounding us. I mean, you could build and build and build and just keep sprawling. Yeah.
So on the topic of building, I know you do a lot of content about new construction, which I absolutely love because it helps me educate my clients that are thinking about moving there. But what is the new construction market like out there?
It also went through the same roller coaster. Like I said, it was hot as can be. In 2021, there were wait lists. It was so insane, but you would have to sometimes wait like 6 months or so just to get into the model home for an appointment. Because they're just like, we're so booked up. Sometimes you'd ask and I'm like, hey, can I get on a wait list? And they're like, we stopped taking names after 400 people. I'm like, okay, never mind. It was really bad. Right now it's the opposite. It's like, it's not like they've overbuilt, but I'm kind of like, oh, this feels like 2018, 2019. Now we've got like, you can go into a model home. You don't necessarily have to have an appointment, although it's great if you do, but you can go in, they've got some inventory to pick from. You can build from scratch. So it's getting back to more normal. The build time, I've got someone that's writing a contract on one this week, is more like 6 to 8 months, where last year it was like 18 months because they
Oh,
just
wow.
permits, they're so backed up.
Yeah.
So that's it. And of course, the bigger the home you get, the longer it takes. As if you're getting more luxury or custom, I mean, that can definitely take a lot longer. But the builders are finally giving incentives where they were not for a long time. Like now they're like, oh, we'll pay your closing costs. We'll give you 50% off at the design room. All those kinds of things which makes it more fun. And I'm kind of relieved to see that coming back again.
Finally.
Yes.
There's options. It's amazing. Well, that's great. And as far as, so aside from new construction, because that's amazing and a great opportunity, but as far as just standard homes, established communities, what can someone get? So you mentioned that average price point, let's say 550. What can someone get for that price point in that area? I mean, you said a cute home, but define that.
Well, on the north side of town, I mean, if you're staying up north, the closer you are to the city, the homes are going to be older. So, but you can still get something that's more, like been renovated or something. So for 550, there's a popular neighborhood called Millwood, and I would say for 550, you could get a home probably from the 1980s, but it's been like renovated on the inside where it's cute. They've done some stuff to it, maybe smaller, like 1700 square feet, but like a nice kind of updated house, and it's very close to everything. If you go further out into Round Rock and whatever, you can get a little bit bigger home, maybe 4 bedrooms, from the 90s or something. And then like the further north you get, Georgetown, you could get something even bigger, maybe like 2,500 square feet or something newer construction. So it's like the farther you get away, you get a little bit more for your money. Things get newer, whereas more center town is older. It's just the city's spread outward like that. As far as like how the city's divided, there's a big highway that goes right up and down the middle, I-35. You learn to never drive on it when you live here. It's a nightmare. And so that divides us east-west, and then the river, Colorado River, divides us north-south. So when people talk north-south, it's, the river, and east-west is I-35. West side is definitely the more expensive neighborhoods. The geography completely changes, and it becomes what we call the hill country. So it's like big, beautiful rolling hills. You've got the lakes, you got Lake Austin, Lake Travis out towards Lakeway area. People are always going to pay more if you have a big home up on top of a hill with a view of the water, or if you're on the water. So typically going to the west side is going to be a little bit more expensive. But I mean, like I said, Northwest, definitely there's some great options there. Southwest, there's beautiful areas all around town. And then the east side topography is definitely a little bit flatter, but lots of growth and development over there too. And Tesla is like the biggest thing that's, really caused that to kind of explode. They have a massive factory out there, and they're still just adding on and on. And the airport's out that direction. So we get a lot of people, if they travel a lot, they're like, I want to go east, so the main thing we kind of help people with is like figuring out, where are you working? What's important to you? What schools, what are you looking for? And then we try to plot like what part of town they would feel like, like it would be the right match for them. And we kind of go from there, and we kind of help people break down like pros and cons of, all the different areas, so they figure out which one's the right match.
Well, and that's fantastic, because the next question I was going to have is, what is your biggest advice for people relocating to Austin that don't know Austin at all, right? So
yeah,
that's super important.
You need to come a few times. Like, don't just fly in a weekend and be like, okay, I'm going to find a home. Like, you need to first come almost as a tourist. Like, talk to us on the phone, and sometimes it takes like, a couple trips, but I'll usually have a phone call with someone, and we'll do a Zoom together, and I'll pull up a map, and I'll like show them like my screen. Okay, here's what you can find here. I listen to with their price point, where they're working, what their goals are, what's important to them. Their budget is a huge thing too. And then we kind of say, okay, you might want to check out this, check out that, come fly in, for 3 or 4 days, do some touristy stuff, make sure you like the whole vibe of where you're going, but then spend some time driving out into those neighborhoods, look at the shopping centers, the schools, like just drive by it and see, okay, do I see myself being happy here? And then once we kind of narrow down a part of town, they may have to then come back a second time and we really hit like neighborhoods and, you know, and styles of homes until we can kind of narrow it down to what they feel is the right fit. And we've helped so many people. I would say probably half of our buyers are all relocating. But like I said, my husband and I both relocated ourselves. And then, you know, he has, my husband was a software engineer, so he has that techie background. So he can kind of help a lot of the Californians that are moving here, the software engineers.
That's awesome. And aside from California, where would you say is your next biggest, we call it feeder market, but market that people are relocating from?
Mostly from Texas. And we get a lot of people from Dallas. So a lot of the, you know, Dallas has a lot of job opportunities there. And so I would say our main feeder markets are Dallas and Houston, followed by California. And then for whatever reason, Florida, the last time I checked, we get some other people coming from that direction too. Tired of hurricanes, move a little more inland, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that I would move too, personally. And as far as, so I'm just using what you're saying to lead on to my next question. So
Right.
next question is weather, right? So I know Texas gets milder weather than a lot of other places, but it does get hot and it does get cold.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through kind of what the averages are throughout the year?
Yeah. So in the summertime, it gets brutally hot. Like my husband will be like, "Do you want to go to the pool?" And I'm like, "It's too hot." Like it's too hot to even be in out, like just outdoors in general. He's like, "But we'll be in the water." And I'm like, "I'm just going to burn." But we will be like over 100 degrees. So expect triple digit heat. This last summer was like a record. I think we had over 100 days of triple digit and it got up to like 108, 109. And it's thick is the thing. So like
it's humid.
It feels like a sauna. Like you can walk outside and you can literally feel like the thickness of the heat. And so it's just a different type of heat. I'm used to it and people are like, how do you survive in it? It's like we have air conditioning. Everything has air conditioning. We drink, you know, cold drinks, iced teas, waters, whatever. It's like you just stay hydrated. We pack coolers when we have our clients coming from out of town because they don't know. And I'll tell them like bring bottled water, but we bring coolers. Because if you're out,
so smart.
You have to be drinking water. So yeah, that's what you can expect in the summers. But like our fall and spring is beautiful. Winter right now, it's like in the 70s. It's absolutely gorgeous. But then like a couple of
weeks. Right now?
Yeah.
It's in the 70s at the moment in January.
Yeah. But then like a couple of weeks ago, it was 14 degrees. So
right. Yeah, I remember you guys all wrapping your pipes and
yes,
getting ready.
It is crazy, but it in the winter, like in the winter, in the transitional months where you're kind of between seasons, it is common to see a 40-degree temperature swing in a day. So it could be like, you know, whatever, like 30 something, and then it's like, boom, it's up to 60s or 70s, and then it's like back down and then back up. So they always say like, just, you never know what to wear. Like in the morning, it could be like parka. And then in the afternoon, you're in shorts and then it just changes, but you get used to it and you layer. Yeah.
Yeah. You're prepared. I know. I'll never forget my first experience of summer in Dallas, which isn't Austin, but it's still very much the Texan heat. And wow, we asked where everybody goes in the summer and they said the mall. Like you don't go outside. You're crazy. We went. Yeah, and we were dumb tourists. Like we went everywhere because we thought you just go outside. In California, you go outside 365. It doesn't matter what the weather is like, right? Because it's comfortable enough to be outdoors. Yeah. So that was definitely a learning lesson for me.
Or you go out at night. Like we'll do night, more like evening stuff, wait for the temperatures to drop. And it's like, okay, we'll meet up at night.
And Texas nights are beautiful because it actually stays warmer and it's incredible. So good tip. I wish I knew you when I went to Texas for the first time because you probably would have warned me.
I would have said don't go in July and August. I'd have just been like, don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That was partially my fault too. And as far as, so let's talk a little bit more of the fun stuff. So some things to do. So let's put me as the example, right? I have two little ones. I am from California. Let's just say I'm in tech and I want to find a place that's super family friendly, has lots of parks, schools, options, things like that, and then lots of food and things to do.
Yeah.
Where would be those cities or towns that you would recommend first?
Cedar Park, and the word park is in it, and it has tons of parks everywhere. And then Round Rock, Cedar Park and Round Rock are almost like same latitude, but one Cedar Park's further west and Round Rock's like just to the east of it. But those are just right directly north of Austin. And you're, like I said, you're close to the Domain. You're not that far from downtown. Like you can probably get downtown in 30, 35 minutes with traffic, but there's lots of, I don't know, just like local community parks and stuff throughout those areas. It's definitely suburbia. There's a huge, like for people that come and travel, there's a huge water park, Kalahari Water Resort. I've never been to it. I don't have kids, but a lot of the people with kids love it. It's an indoor water park with like a beach and slides and all kinds of stuff that is year round. And so people will come down and visit that or go there for a day, kind of like a theme park. And that's up in Round Rock. But I mean, all those areas, like I said, it's the suburbs, but you're not like so far away that, you're going to like, you know, be like out in no man's land. You're like, you feel like you're right in the city.
Okay. And then for the opposite, someone, not necessarily opposite, but for someone that maybe wants more space and privacy and land, where would they be going?
I would say like Southwest, you're going to pay a little bit more for it. It's either like Georgetown way up north or like Southwest, like Driftwood, Dripping Springs, Spicewood, some of those areas out west and stuff. It feels a little more rural, but you're again, like close to stuff, but you could get like 5 acres or 3 acres or something and build a really nice home. It's just going to cost you a little more because land, you know, of course, is expensive, but those would be some of those areas that are not quite as packed in or, you know, as tight with all the little suburban houses. But if you're just like, I'm retired, I have a little more money to spend, I want privacy, then it just depends on what direction you want to go. But there's beautiful areas out there. And you've got the soft rolling hills. There's just some really pretty communities that we love too.
Sounds beautiful. Okay. I'm going to visit. I mark my words. It's going to happen sooner or later. In 2023, I am visiting, not in summer. Yes. Okay. So before we jump into maybe one of my favorite things to do now on these interviews, I want to ask you one more fun question. So I want to ask you what some of your favorite spots to eat would be. So of course, people think barbecue when they think of Texas. So maybe a barbecue spot, maybe something else. What are your go-to places that you always recommend? So
I love Tex-Mex food. I'm from San Antonio, and in my opinion, I still prefer
Uh-oh, we might have lost Shannon. Shannon, come back. Please hold for technical difficulties. Well, we might have lost Shannon on this, and we will give her just 1 minute more to see if she can come back. She did drop out of the live stream, so hopefully she'll be joining us in 1 second. But I will take this moment to mention that if you are considering relocating to Austin or anywhere else outside of California, I have tons of other videos about this topic right here when you rewatch this video, and make sure to subscribe if you want to see other relocation areas. We're going to give Shannon just a couple more minutes or a couple more seconds to jump back in. But if she does not, I want to thank you so much for watching this content, and make sure to check out the other videos. I'll see you soon.